Coming up today, with the clock ticking to April's general election, the ruling party urges the opposition bloc to cooperate in approving a new look electoral map. But an ongoing filibuster is expected to stall proceedings. With the vote pending on a draft resolution aimed at sanctioning North Korea for its recent provocations, China's top nuclear envoy is set for talks with South Korea's foreign minister in Seoul. First, the slowdown in China and the threats posed by North Korea caused South Korea's business sentiment to slump to its lowest level since the height of the global financial crisis. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Monday, the 29th of February. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story this afternoon: the fate of a new electoral map is now in the hands of lawmakers after it was finally submitted to the National Assembly on Sunday. The ruling party wants to bring the constituency bill to a vote with a little over 6 weeks remaining before Koreans head to the polls for a general election. However, it remains unclear whether the opposition bloc will end its ongoing filibuster, which would automatically put another controversial bill up for a vote. Our Ji Myung-gil has the details.
The plenary session is scheduled for Monday, but without a finalized agenda. The ruling's Haeunuri party is looking to get the constituency bill passed with the disputed security bill. The National Election Commission has reviewed the new electoral map, so the bill is now awaiting lawmakers' final approval at the National Assembly. The new map allocates 253 of the parliament's 300 seats to district representatives, up from the previous 246, and 47 to proportional representatives. The filibuster led by the opposition bloc continues Monday in protest of the Assembly Speaker's decision to directly refer the bill for a vote without the opposition's consent. The opposition bloc is reluctant to grant more investigative power to the National Intelligence Service, fearing the spy agency may conduct surveillance on citizens. However, if the filibuster continues to delay the vote on the new electoral map, the main opposition Minju Party of Korea could face scrutiny for holding up legislative duties. With April's general election looming without passing the constituency bill, election campaigning and drawing up the candidate list for overseas Koreans will be interrupted. Ji Myung-gil, Arirang News.
Now, on his second day in Seoul, China's special representative for the six-party talks, Woo Da-wei, is scheduled to meet with South Korea's Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se. The Chinese official is expected to continue talks on the international response towards North Korea's recent violations and other issues of mutual interest. On Sunday, Woo Da-wei held discussions with his South Korean counterpart Hwang Jung-guk, during which the two sides agreed on their support for the UN Security Council's new draft resolution against North Korea's recent violations and vowed for its effective implementation upon adoption. Now, according to Hwang, talks on the possible deployment of the US missile defense system known as THAAD to South Korea were not addressed on Sunday. Beijing has said on numerous occasions that it is deeply opposed to the deployment. Now, the world thought China's change of heart was the key for the passage of stronger UN sanctions against North Korea. But another major world power is holding up the process, saying it needs more time to scour the draft resolution's fine print. Han Da-eun has the latest.
Almost 2 months have passed since North Korea shocked the world with its alleged hydrogen bomb test. But the United Nations has yet to slap sanctions on the rogue state. And this time, the holdup is because of Russia, not the regime's longtime ally, China. A draft bill that contains unprecedented sanctions against Pyongyang was expected to be passed by the UN Security Council over the weekend, but Russia, a veto-wielding member, asked for more time to review it. No one knows for sure how much time Moscow will take for its review. Some experts point out Russia may have been annoyed by recent U.S.-China talks on the level of North Korea sanctions. Those discussions took place without Russia's presence. Attention is now focused on whether UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon will raise the issue when he meets with Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who's due to visit Geneva on Tuesday to discuss the conflict in Syria with Pan. Handan, Arirang News.
Now, South Korea's business sentiment has worsened to its lowest level in almost 7 years. The sluggish confidence among local manufacturers comes as exports plunge due to slowing global demand, while spending within the economy remains rather sluggish. Hwang Jie has the details.
Despite a record low key rate and the government's stimulus measures to prop up the economy, confidence among Korean manufacturers over economic conditions remains subdued. The Bank of Korea says the business sentiment index for February came in at 63, down from 65 tallied a month earlier. The figure marks the fourth straight month of decline and the lowest level since March 2009, when the country was struggling in the aftermath of the global financial crisis. It also stands below the 66 posted in June last year, when the MERS outbreak flattened the country's spending. A reading below the benchmark 100 means pessimists outnumber optimists. A central bank official says slumping exports prompted by weak demand from emerging economies, especially in China, coupled with geopolitical risks stemming from North Korea, have led to the drop. As uncertainties abroad continue to threaten economic activities, the central bank's survey revealed that manufacturers also cited sluggish domestic demand as one of the major difficulties they face while doing business. With the Trade Ministry set to release new export figures on Tuesday, eyes are focused on whether the country will continue its downward streak for a 14th straight month, which will further dampen business outlook. Hwang Jie, Arirang News.
Now, the number of unemployed college graduates in Korea has doubled in the last 15 years. According to Statistics Korea, the number of economically inactive college and university graduates was over 3.3 million in 2015, up 4.7% from the previous year. The figure represents a twofold increase from 1.6 million in the year 2000 and has been steadily rising ever since then. Last year's margin of increase was the largest after a 6.6% rise in 2009. In 2015, unemployed graduates made up nearly 21% of the economically inactive population in the nation, up 9.5 percentage points from 2000. Economic experts attribute the increase to a disconnect between desired positions on the one hand and available positions for job seekers. There's been a significant downturn in the violence in Syria, but Saudi Arabia claims the Russians and the Assad regime have already violated a recently brokered truce. There have been airstrikes, but as yet it's impossible to know if they were targeting ISIS and al-Nusra militants, both of which remain legitimate targets under the agreement. Kim Myo-gun has the details.
Saudi Foreign Minister Adel Al-Jubeir has accused Russia and the Syrian government of violating a cessation of hostilities agreed upon by Washington and Moscow. At a press conference with his Danish counterpart on Sunday, Al-Jubeir said several airstrikes were detected in Syria after the official beginning of the ceasefire. He said Riyadh was discussing the problem with international powers and warned of another plan if the agreement continued to be violated.
If we cannot continue the truce, there are other options, as John Kerry mentioned. There is a plan B if it turns out that there is no seriousness by the Syrian regime and its allies.
The Syrian opposition, supported by Saudi Arabia, said some 15 truce violations had been committed by Syria and Russia. The UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights also said warplanes bombed 7 villages in Aleppo and Hama provinces on Sunday. Some Syrian activists say the airstrikes in the north were aimed at the al-Qaeda-linked Nusra Front, which is excluded from the truce. Nevertheless, it seems like in most parts of the country, the truce is being observed. The Syrian opposition umbrella group, the High Negotiations Committee, said that despite violations in some regions, it was good to see people moving around the streets after the truce came into effect. It said that it would send an official letter of complaint about the breaches to the United Nations and other world powers. Whether the latest U.S.-Russian agreement will be effective in the long term remains to be seen. Kim Myo-gun, Arirang News.
Now, staying in the Middle East, and suicide bombers on motorbikes have killed at least 70 people in twin attacks at a mobile phone market in Baghdad. The bombings in a Shiite district of the Iraqi capital on Sunday were claimed by the Islamic State militant group. The attacks are the deadliest in a wave of recent blasts that have targeted commercial areas in and around Baghdad. Earlier in the day, ISIS militants attacked Iraqi security forces on the western outskirts of Baghdad, killing at least 17 people. Korean tech giant Samsung Electronics and LG Electronics are set to launch their latest smartphone models in the coming weeks. Samsung says it will start taking pre-orders for its Galaxy S7 and Galaxy S7 Edge from this Friday here in Korea. Both devices go on global release on March 11th. The handsets were first unveiled at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona earlier this month. Now, people who buy either phone will receive a free Samsung Gear VR headset and a VR games bundle. However, this offer is only available to customers in the US and Europe. LG also revealed its latest smartphone, the G5, just ahead of the MWC. Now, there's no official release date as of yet, but LG says it will be launched next month or in early April, with pre-orders starting from mid-March in Korea. Now, instant noodles are flying off the shelves even more than usual here in Korea. According to online retail shopping mall G-Market, sales of instant noodles between February 19th and the 25th rose nearly 700% from the same period last year. Compared to the previous week, the sales still showed a 44% rise. Other retail outlets, including Auction and Ticket Monster, also saw at least a twofold growth in sales. Now, this all comes after rumours of a hike in prices, as well as the rising popularity of the latest seafood-flavoured spicy instant noodles. A new study has found that half of the world's population will be myopic or short-sighted by the year 2050. Among them, up to 1 billion will be at significantly increased risk of blindness. Our Park Jung-hong has a report.
It seems a fact of life that we are gradually losing our vision, and it's largely being blamed on the increased use of smartphones and other electronic devices. Researchers from the Brian Holden Vision Institute, University of New South Wales, Australia, and the Singapore Eye Research Institute say half of the world's population by 2050, that's nearly 5 billion people, will be myopic. Up to 1 billion of them will be at a significant risk of blindness due to severe myopia. Myopia, or nearsightedness, is a condition where people can clearly see objects close to the eyes, but those far away appear blurry. Sufferers find it hard to even read eyesight test charts. Experts advise taking good care of your eyesight, especially when you are in your teens.
We should do a lot of outdoor activities and reduce near-range tasks. Then we'll be able to somewhat prevent the onset of myopia.
The research team estimates people in the Asia-Pacific region will be more prone to myopia than those in other parts of the world. Parents are advised to have their children's eyes checked regularly and have them refrain from spending too much time on electronic devices. Park Jung-hong, Arirang News.
Today is February 29th, and it comes around every 4 years, and it can cause people to age very slowly as they wait for their chance to celebrate a birthday. It's a leap year, of course, and it happens according to a unique pattern. Lee Ji-won tells us more about this extremely special day.
Today is my 6th birthday.
Park Gun-woo is 24 years old, but he's only had 6 official birthdays. That's because he was born on February 29th. We know it as Leap Day, and it's a special occasion that only comes around once in every 4 and sometimes 8 years. That's because the Earth doesn't orbit the Sun in the 365 days in our calendar year, but in approximately 365 days and 6 hours. So the extra 6 hours are stored up, and a full 24 hours is added every 4 years. For leapers, Taiwan, the UK, and New Zealand set February 28th as the legal birthday and March 1st for Hong Kong. But Korea doesn't have any rules regarding February 29th birthdays.
At times, I celebrate my birthday on February 28th or I wait for a week and celebrate it together with my brother's birthday.
I celebrate it whenever my family and friends can make it, so sometimes it rolls over to March.
Aside from these rare birthdays, there's some other things that make Leap Day unique. In the Irish tradition, Leap Day is the only day women can propose marriage because the day was thought to bring good luck. And if men are to reject, they will have to give women silk gowns. But ironically, in Korea and Greece, old sayings tell couples not to get married on leap days because they can't get blessing from their ancestors. But regardless of such superstitions, February 29th is an extra day given once in 4 years. So here's hoping all of you make the most of this special day. 이지원, 아리랑 뉴스.
Well, that's all we have for now. I'm Mark Broom. Thank you as always for tuning in to our newscast, and we'll be back throughout the day with many more bulletins. Until then, goodbye.